Welcome to It's About You, Understanding Advanced Healthcare Directives. My name is Brian Beinstorp. I work for Kenosha County Human Services and am a member of the Advanced Care Planning Workgroup. Today, I'm bringing along some friends and colleagues to be your guide in understanding healthcare directives and why they matter to you. I'd like to start by introducing you to Amy.
What was it that brought you to say, yeah, let's get this done?
So it really started when I was 19. I worked in a hospital in Kenosha for 4 years and would be all over the hospital doing different things. I worked in the pharmacy, so I was kind of out and about in different patient rooms and things like that. And so it really opened my eyes. I think as someone who's young, I think that I always find myself feeling invincible and that I'm always going to be here forever. But I think working in the hospital setting really taught me that anyone at any age can be put in there, and making sure that all the right paperwork and processes are put in place so that it's a smooth transition regardless of what happens in my life for family, friends, and all of that.
Life is uncertain. The information scrolling on the screen shows the top causes of death from the CDC for people aged 20 to 24. It is important to plan ahead for future healthcare decisions, and if you are unable to make your own decisions, others would need to make them for you. The next question is, how is that accomplished? It is accomplished through an advance directive, which is a written legal document. At minimum, a power of attorney for healthcare is strongly encouraged for anyone over 18. This easy-to-complete document is free and authorizes another person to make healthcare decisions for you if you are unable to do so. Let's hear more from Judge Meyer.
I was a practicing attorney for 25 years before becoming a judge, and I would be the one preaching to everyone to get this done because of all the benefits that are associated with it. And I never did mine for quite a few years. You know, I was in my 20s and 30s and I didn't need one. At least that's what you think. Or I'll do it tomorrow, that type of thing. And then eventually it's like, yeah, no, I need to practice what I preach and do mine because it's extremely important. So what really probably motivated me the most, aside of the fact that I knew that I needed to have it done, is the peace of mind in getting it done, having it in place, having the control of designating who I wanted to make certain decisions for me in the event that I wasn't able to do so was extremely important to me, because what I do know, again, from practicing as an attorney and even being as a judge, is that you don't always know what a court will rule. And I would have rather had the control over decisions regarding me versus a court or anyone else. So that was the biggest factor.
There are many good reasons to complete an advance directive. The most surprising and misunderstood of these is that Wisconsin is not a next of kin or family consent state. That means as soon as you become an adult at 18, no one can automatically make decisions for you. For example, parents or significant others are not guaranteed the ability to speak on your behalf should you need it. Dorothea shares her perspective on the value of this process.
I think what I learned most about myself is something that is shocking to me, even as we discuss it now, is that in preparing the document, it's not just about looking at death. It's also looking at the life you currently live. And that was a very hard thing for me, because I realized that my fear was not in the conversation or death itself, it was in living. And have I been selfish enough right now, today? And it has made me make some really interesting life choices as a result of that, doing things that were more about me and for me, because I don't want to only have quality of life in death. I want to have quality of life in my life as I live. So the conversation is far deeper reaching than that of my last wishes. At least that's how I took it. And it guided me to make some profound decisions in my personal life as it relates to quality of life.
Just to review, who needs it? Every adult. When do you need it? Now. So let's get started. Who would you want to speak for you? The healthcare agent you choose must be willing and able to make the choices you would make yourself. This requires you to think about your values and goals and communicate them with your agent. This will ensure that your provider and others will follow your wishes and respect what is important to you. Let's get a little more specific about these steps. When choosing your agent, consider a person who can make difficult decisions in emotional situations or under pressure. Also consider someone who understands what you want and will honor that, even if it is different from what they would want for themselves. Let's hear from Amy about her choice.
You did great by making sure that your brother is willing.
He also is someone who, so he's currently in pharmacy school, so he has a good healthcare background. My mom works in healthcare, so that also assists. I also have two brothers, but chose one of them over the other because the other does not do well with very tragic like medical incidents and the pressure that is associated with those. And putting that pressure on him, I did not think would be fair to either of us. So choosing one brother over the other, there was kind of some thought behind which one would be chosen.
Defining your values and goals is not always clear or easy, and everyone is different. One frame that can be helpful to consider is what brings your life meaning and value. Whether you're a patient or a physician, these are the questions we all must consider.
I think that the document itself is not just enough. It's really what you're asking about it, what goes behind the things that you're saying, and are there conversations that are happening? What motivates you to stay alive, basically? And for me, I would hate being a burden on other people. I don't want people to have to take care of me all the time. And if it got to a point where I wasn't able to be independent anymore, that's when my family knows that I would want to start having limits set on how aggressive to intervene.
Having conversations with people you trust, such as faith leaders, teachers, friends, or family members, may help clarify your preferences regarding life-sustaining treatment and other medical interventions. Starting the conversation with your agents is a critical part of the process. If an agent is uninformed, the burden for them to assume this role, if ever needed, would be great. It is also important to keep the conversation going as life experiences and your thinking evolves. Representative Tip McGuire brings this point home.
Few things, first of all, in regard to the process. In many ways, the process is kind of the point, right? Is that you have these conversations and it makes people feel more comfortable, and it also normalizes these conversations with your loved ones. You know, I have to say it's kind of refreshing to be able to talk about these things openly, because I think when we think about these things, they're typically things that we keep to ourselves or consider internally, but it's much more comfortable to talk about it with your loved ones so that they understand your perspective and you understand theirs. And it really does make it easier to talk about these things moving forward. So I just want to emphasize kind of how wonderful the process is once you get past that initial hesitancy.
You've done good work so far, so it's time for a humor break, because I know how it will end for me. One of my friends will unplug my life support to charge their phone. Even old rockers can find some humor in this process.
And just to end up on a piece of humor, like you said, if ever you come into my hospital room and I'm on life support,
Yes.
unplug me and wait for a moment and then plug it back in and see if I reboot.
Okay, back to work. The document needs to be completed if any of this is going to matter. Remember, it's about you, what's right for you, and taking responsibility for your future. You are in control. It begins with taking ownership of the document with your name, address, and date of birth, and appointing your primary agent and optional secondary agent. The secondary agent comes into play only if the primary agent is unable or unwilling to serve. This page gives permission to your agent to admit you into different long-term care settings should it be required for your care. It's important to remember this question is not necessarily about what you want, but rather what level of care you may need and what authority you want your agent to have. If you are confident about your agent's ability to serve you well, think carefully before you limit their ability to support you. Checking no prevents your agent from making any decision. The same principle applies to feeding tube and pregnancy care. If you are confident about your agent's ability to serve you well, think carefully before you limit their ability to support you. Remember, checking no prevents your agent from making any decision. That's it. There are no more decisions to be made. If you are missing something that is important to you, the blank area in the Statement of Desires section is your opportunity to personalize the document should you choose. For example, you could talk about pain management, comfort preferences, family dynamics, religious practices, or even something humorous or personal, such as make sure my nails are painted or turn on the game. Let's see how Amy made this section her own.
So I'm including, please consider quality of life post-hospitalization
Nice.
when making decisions, because I think that that's always just a good reminder to have on here, since that's like one of my main main concerns of any long-term changes to my health. And then also I am very much someone who believes those who are on like a ventilator or not necessarily conscious with the things like the situations around them, highly believe that people can still hear and sense different things that are happening. So also just ensuring that there's visitors and conversations happening and updates happening to me, even if I'm not mentally cognizant of different things.
Now you sign and date the document in front of two witnesses. Be sure to carefully read on the document what makes a witness valid. Keep in mind that all the dates must match. This last optional page allows for the agents to acknowledge they are aware of the responsibility they are assuming, as well as reinforcing any organ donation wishes. Even though the document is now valid, it remains dormant until such time as two physicians or a physician and a physician's assistant or nurse practitioner activate the document by affirming you, the principal, does not have the capacity to make healthcare decisions. Only then can your agent step in to make decisions on your behalf. We have provided some useful links if you would like more information about advanced directives.
Jerry, you ever seen the movie The Other Side of Darkness?
No.
It's about this woman in a coma. Well, I couldn't finish watching it, so I want you to read this.
I, Cosmo Kramer, having just seen the movie The Other Side of Darkness, and not wanting to be in a coma like that lady in the movie, hereby want Jerry Seinfeld to remove my life support, feeding machine, lung blower, etc., etc., etc.
Can you do that for me, buddy?
Well, I don't know if what you have here constitutes a legally binding document.
Well, I'm gonna type it up.
Yes, well, of course, but even so, you may want to talk to a lawyer.
Well, Jackie Childs, he put a restraining order on me. I'm not allowed within 200 feet of his office.
Situation number 4. You're breathing on your own, you're conscious, but with no muscular function.
Well, would I be able to communicate?
I don't see how.
I don't like the sound of this one.
Yeah, let's pull the cord.
Yank it like you're starting a mower.
Moving on. You have liver, kidneys, and gallbladder, but no central nervous system.
Well, I gotta have a central nervous system.
Okay. One lung, blind, and you're eating through a tube.
No, that's not my style.
Boring.
All right. You can eat, but machines do everything else.
I'd stick.
Yeah, stick. Because I could still go to the coffee shop.
That's right.
Oh, Jerry, listen. I saw the rest of that movie, The Other Side of Darkness. The coma lady wakes up at the end.
Oh, I wanted to see that. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
I didn't know it was possible to come out of a coma.
I didn't know it was possible not to know that.
How is Eric Roberts as the husband?
Oh, unforgettable. All right, I gotta find Elaine. You know, she's gonna pull my plug.
Hi. How's he doing?
He's been sleeping a lot. He's still groggy.
Well, I thought a movie might cheer him up. I got him a jean pick.
What happened to Vincent?
I'm kind of off of him. Outlet. Ah.
Thank you for spending time today learning about advance directives. They are important for you and the people who love you. I welcome you to connect with any of the local resources listed if you would like assistance in completing or witnessing your document.